Krishnan, Head HR, Magna Automotive. Shiva has more than 16 years of experience in human resource management and he is the product of Loyola College, both UG and PG. Currently working with Magna Automotive India, Chennai plant as Head HR. Also, he has worked with Vistrian and Comstar. Let us welcome Mr. Shiva onto the stage.
So he is going to moderate the session. Can we have a big round of applause to Siva Ramakrishnan? The next to come, shall we have the introduction of Mr. Augustus?
Augustus G.S. Asaria, HR leader IBM, AGI, has more than 2 decades of experience in the human resource function, has gained deep understanding of the constantly changing business, and he is regarded as a subject matter expert and thought leader in people strategy. He has held various leadership roles in IBM, and his role enables him to be involved in all aspects of touch employees. Having joined IBM in 1999, he is credited with setting up an employer brand that supported IBM's growth in India. He was also awarded Thought Leadership Award by the African Asian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. CHROMA proudly welcomes Mr. Agi onto the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Augustus Azaria.
Next to talk about is Mr. Satish Rajanathan. Your introduction, please.
Satish Rajarathinam, Senior Vice President HR and Global Head Strategic Resourcing, emphasize. Satish is a seasoned human resource professional having 24 years of experience, held various HR leadership positions across multiple industries. Satish has continually been at the head of strategic resourcing, organization change management, HR business consulting, and agile transformation as well as leadership and talent management. Satish's leadership experience spans across organizations such as Cognizant, HCL Technologies, and Siemens. He has also been the recipient of awards such as Asia's 100 HR Power Leaders, Indian Achievers Award 2021, the Top 100 HR Tech Minds Award, and HR Excellence Award. Let's welcome Satish Rajarathinam onto the dais.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Satish Rajaratnam.
And last but not least, can we have the introduction of Mr. Hariharan?
Hariharan Ramakrishnan, HRSS Manager, Global Tech and Operations Ford Motor. 21 plus years of experience in information technology solution development and operation services with 16 years of managing professional IT services in corporate world. Transformational and recognized technology leader focused on crafting the strategic vision to achieve desired business goals. His excellence in global delivery of large programs, cloud services, offshore delivery, center management, global partners, talent hiring and grooming, enterprises architecture and solution design and delivery and operations. CHROMA proudly welcomes Hariharan Ramakrishnan to the dais.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hariharan Ramakrishnan. I invite our moderator, Mr. Siva Ramakrishnan, to take over.
Check. Very good morning. Kekala, good morning. Fantastic. Okay, so today we are here to understand about the latest technologies. So I'm going to set a face for the conversation. And to start with, to be honest, the consumer technologies is evolving very fast, right? In fact, if you see 2003, the LinkedIn started. And thereafter, you have YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And in 2007, we have iPhone, right? From 2007 onwards, the web-based platform has become into our pockets through an iPhone. And further from 2007 onwards, we have various apps. For example, Airbnb, we have Instagram, WhatsApp, right? These started capturing the world, to be honest. And for the last 18 years before, I'm very sure no one would have heard about these technologies. And I'm also quite very sure 99.9% in this room either using all these technologies currently or used these technologies, right? And where we are going to go, that's another important thing. All Fortune 500 companies are working on metaverse. This is something, it's going to come, and a lot of things are happening. I can put it in an example. It's Facebook. Facebook started this metaverse. You've seen the symbol of meta, right? What's all about? It's a 3D world, right? And today we are not going to speak about that. What we are going to speak about, and the panel members are, what is relevant in today's context, right? How the technologies is going to help the HR fraternities, right? So let us start on this. In that context, every industries have a buzzword called big data, right? So wherever you see, any company speaks big data, big data, big data, right? What's all about big data? I just want to start this with Mr. Hari. Just enlighten us on the big data. Over to Hari.
Thank you, Shiva. Good morning, all. Honestly, big data is not a buzzword. Without big data, we would not have really grown to this level in the evolution. The evolution has played with the big data over a period of time. That's why from the amoeba, we have just reached this particular stage. Actually, that has happened in a very invisible manner, but now happening in the visible manner. If you really see, coming to the ground realities, there are two things: human beings and the systems, the computers. Computers can do mathematics. Human beings can do fantastic learning, good or bad, whatever it may be. Swamiji's speech was really electrifying, really a lot of things opened. So how to really marry this learning feature with the mathematical computation has been the question in the industry since very, very long. But if you really see the computational power, the output of the computational power, the output of the learning cannot survive or cannot do anything, the major ingredient, the input, which is the data. And if you really see the data, it is a double-edged weapon. Data has got a lot of unwanted things and very much wanted things. And all we want is the wanted thing be analyzed at the shortest span and solve my business problem. When I say my business problem, kindly understand from a perspective like how much technology appetite really you and your enterprise has got matters. I don't want to really hire an aeroplane to go to Tambram, right? There's a fantastic technology, but still I need to go to Tambram. I can go walk, cycle, or whatever it may be. So it is important to understand everything as rightly spoken by the pre-speakers, and people are going to speak. So if you really go to the deepest of things, yesterday's mistakes are tomorrow's corrections, actually. Really, whatever we have been learning, we make mistakes, and from that we make a correction. The more experience we get from that, we learn more and we do better things, right? And that algorithm is naturally imbibed in the brain using a lot of things, and we are only trying to mimic our brain in the computational world or solution world, where we are trying to really facilitate because we are going to deal with a lot of things in the big data. There are jargons. I'm not here to really talk about the jargons. It's volume of data. For example, let me take a quick example. In the HR space, you advertise for a position, and you receive 10,000 applications. Now in this 10,000 applications, you want that 5 people, and you don't know whether you are picking the 5 people, right 5 people, or you are leaving those 5 people. We don't know. So it is important at some point in time, it is not enough to really analyze or infer the structured data like name, age, etc., etc. Also the free-flowing data, maybe text, image, etc., etc., etc. We will be talking more on that in the coming time. So basis is data, and that is why we call it as big data. Volume, it has got velocity. When I say velocity, I can't be giving a prediction of today weather based on last year's data, right? I have to give a prediction of weather today, what will happen by evening, so that you can plan your thing. So the velocity at which data is growing is high. The velocity at which you have to really react or respond, as rightly said by Swamiji, it's very important. So how this technology is going to facilitate all that, we'll be talking probably in due course. So that is why I would like to put in a, and also the authenticity of the data matters. We have to clean, and so many practical things are there. So please have a holistic look. We have been really dealing with data. Unless we have been dealing with data, we are not here today. So we call it big data. Yeah, let me pass here.
Thank you, Hari. Already Hari has touched upon the CVs and the contents of the big data. Now I request Satish, how far this big data is going to drive the change for the HR professionals. Over to Satish.
Thank you, Shiva, Hari. Great context setting, right? I'm going to step back a little bit. The way that I look at data is at multifold. The top two that I would want to put it as macro level, like what Hari spoke about, the big data, the coin big it's in itself. How will that impact HR? It's a very pertinent topic that you're talking about. How many of us know the job occupation within this room, right? 1/3 of the job occupation may not be there in the next 2 years. I wouldn't know in the next 2 years that I would be doing what I'm doing today, right? And for me to know that, I need data, right? Hari spoke about how can you predict future with past data? Yes, that's how algorithms are built and so on and so forth, right? So there are 3, if I were to put it in a simpler term, about a decade and a half back, we talk about what we call as descriptive data, right? When your management asks HR saying, look, how many people you've hired, we give data. How many people are attrited, we give data, right? But the last decade has changed the entire canvas. We have started by saying, look, we've hired so many people of whom so many of them are diverse, so many of them are from these regions, so many of them speak this language, and hence they can be deployed in these locations. We have started giving additional information for management to take decisions. So that's the key. I'm stressing on decisions for a quick second. I'll come back to that. The third aspect is, what Hari just alluded to is about being prescriptive. So from a descriptive to predictive to prescriptive by saying, look, we are hiring in this pattern for my line function today, right? But now if technology is going to take out certain aspects of my line function, let's take a quality line function that we do in a corrugated box manufacturing industry. If that is going to get automated to a, maybe a couple of lines that are going to get automated, what's going to happen to those skilled workers who have been doing those manual checks and QA checks at that point in time, right? Let's elevate this. You have so many share cab that are flying around, right? I'm sure you guys would have heard about autonomous cars, autonomous deliveries. People have started using drones and so on and so forth. If we're going to all fly out, let's say, for example, from Electronic City, Bangalore to airport, we're going to take a drone and go reach out. What's going to happen to so many cabbies or flying cabs on the road, right? Autonomous, right, mobility is what you're talking about. So data is going to get us towards that no sooner than later. Why? Because our expectations are changing. I still remember those days where I used to get a Airtel SIM card or mobile connection way back, right? With the gray hair, I'm sure. I don't want to guess out my age, but we used to wait for about 7 to 10 days to get a connection done, a SIM and a connection done. But today, you walk into any store, your thumb should do in a minute. You walk out with pre-activated SIM card. Again, why? All these are connected in the back end to the big data that Hari and Shiva spoke about. So the data is there, the metaverse is real that we are talking about, right? Having said this, that's at a macro level, right? At a micro level, how is data going to predict what's going to be for us from a job perspective, right? Technology is shifting the job occupancy. 56.9 million is predicted in terms of occupation that will change between now and 2025. These are researched data. That would mean half of it would be from the HR fraternity here, right? Take, for example, you're not going to have recruiters sitting and, for example, right, going through every single profile. You have parsing tools that have come in. You have bots. In fact, that's part of the topic as well, right? You have bots that would pick up keywords and say, look, Satish is closer to this job or not. Augie is closer to the job or not. And then you move on, you shortlist, right? All of those are getting automated. Purely the science behind this is all about data. So that's what we're alluding to. So it's going to be, we've moved from descriptive to predictive to prescriptive, and like what Hari said, let's not get overboard with the nomenclatures of data lake, data mine, and so on, but use data to take decisions that would help propel your organizational growth. And I will pause it for now.
No, very nicely said, Satish, how far this big data is going to help us on the decision making, and how far we are going to move on more on the science and make the human resource lives easier. Now I just pass it on to Agi to understand more on the applications and tools which is very relevant to the today's context, which can facilitate HR with big data.
Thank you, Siva. Vanakkam, Chennai. Truly delighted to be here this morning. And Siva சொன்னார் நீங்க தமிழ்ல கூட பேசலான்னு. நான் தமிழ்ல பேசினா பெங்களூர் தமிழ்ல நீங்க ரொம்ப சிரிச்சிருவீங்க. So I'll continue to speak in English. So with that, I wanted to talk to you about the data that we generate. HR as a function generates the largest amount of data. They handle large amounts of data which are private and which are sensitive. So data integrity is very important here, okay? And whoever holds data controls everything. You've been reading it in the media, all right? In terms of how public opinion can change because somebody controls either Twitter or whatever the case may be. But data, the custodian of data, is the hero here. But in a distributed system where we drive collaboration, because collaboration fosters innovation, we need to ensure that that data is shared. And therefore, data meets application, all right? All the kind of data that comes in for you, whether it is the attendance monitoring system that comes with your biometric device reading of someone coming into the office, right down to, performance management to see who is trending high, who is trending low, who is plateauing, where is career velocity. All these things are parts of data in that entire journey. My journey in terms of HR digitalization started way back in 2017. And when we started the first proof of concept in terms of digitally enabling HR, which was highly fragmented, okay? There were different systems everywhere and none of them were talking to each other. Okay, so the first thing you had to do is to integrate and make sure that they talk to each other. Then with the new technology and with big data, you have a lot of legacy systems. Now, how do I build a stack on top of that legacy system so that I'm able to cull out that data, to get the right decision support that I'm looking for? And therefore came various initiatives, all right? And one of them, of course, was Watson, which is a supercomputer which today is able to solve certain problems, be it in healthcare or into weather forecasting and so on and so forth. But doesn't end there. Whatever application that you're going to be driving at, be it attendance monitoring or performance management or predicting sentiment of your people, what is the type of mood that I have with people right out there in the middle, on the right side, third row? Are they trending towards boredom? And why is that happening? Can I use data to do that? Yes, I can. But then what happened to CSK today? Did they use data right? I think they did in terms of selecting and spending their money. But there are certain things you cannot predict because it's the human mind and the capability out there of the team and how well they come together. Data needs to stitch those things together. And that's what we are here for, to look at what are those fragments, how can we stitch them together, integrate them together, and then we collaborate with various functions within HR, which means HR comes together first. Then you have that discussion with your CIO. How many CHRO, CIO discussions happen? How well is the CHRO, CIO discussion integrated to company culture? The application out there is just not a tech stack that's standing there. It's got to be your value system. It's got to be your culture. It's got to be your purpose-driven organization that comes across there. So that's where we are going to go. Thank you, Suva.
Thank you, Agi. See, Agi was touching upon on the legacy systems. Still, many of them use various platforms in our organization. Before jumping to the next topic on the technology part, I just want to, on the interest of the audience here, I just want Hari to say a few words on the legacy and the modern system, how we are going to integrate this. That's the key, actually. So just a few words on this, Hari, how to integrate a legacy system into a modern system in a technical way, right? And then we will move to the next topic, which already Swamiji has already touched upon.
Okay. I'm trying to copy Swamiji, okay? Just, I've got a family, but the family definition is fantastic because of all the technologies today. I can't be really discarding my current family. I have to refine my current family to the best, right? Enterprises have invested knowingly or unknowingly in a lot of systems. Legacy systems need not be mainframe or anything. There may be a marketing sales team dealing with major work with just Excels, fragmented Excels. And there may be yet another team doing certain applications, finance, HR. So in this, the main bottlenecks practically have been seen with my experience, I'm telling you, which most of us, you will agree. We are all operating within the company in silos because of the political nature, sometimes politics, sometimes confidentiality, but the same data will be present everywhere. It's omnipresent. Or if there is a way that we will be able to integrate them, we'll be able to really fetch better insights from them. And for which, of course, there are technologies available, which we'll be touching upon in due course. Of late, I started with the family example because there is a latest technology which has come today. I'll go and discard all my mainframes. I'll smash them off and start new things. Even if you're ready to put money, time, everything, the industry is not waiting for you. I mean, you need to really be parallelly running things with your existing systems. So definitely things like, I don't want to really be touching a lot of technology, but RESTful API, application programming interface, is a boom. Really, that is bringing, how do I connect the legacy systems in a seamless manner with the latest technologies, number one. And also, this API programming is again challenging because you'll have to really start things from the very basics. Cloud technologies also help us to really accomplish this with very, very short turnaround time. So I would like to touch upon these two technologies which will definitely help you in integrating the old architecture, old technology, because where abundant data is available. Even today, I've got a use case where I want to really implement an AI/ML solution for a particular problem, but I'm not able to do because the data stays in the mainframe. I need to really bring it to the front end, and I've already created the POC, but to integrate, I need to really talk with multiple teams. I said politics, right? And second thing is, I need to really be developing an appropriate interfacing systems like API, whatever it may be. But by the end of the day, I have to accomplish it. Thereby, I am able to bring out the best insights out of the older systems, still not really reinvesting much on the older and the newer systems instead of the old system. So I just wanted to touch upon, most of us are experiencing, if you really go and see the details of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Hari. The next topic on the technology we would like to cover is on the artificial intelligence. Swami already touched upon, that is going to rule the world and has already started, and many of them started using it. To just set a context on the artificial intelligence, the thing which came to my mind today morning when I had a discussion is on everyone has undergone COVID-19 pandemic, right? And to the knowledge, whatever, to the understanding of mine, many manufacturing setups in the shop floor has started using an AI. To put it in a layman, the machine learning is nothing but the code which is fed into the computer, right? And the artificial intelligence is the pattern which says that whether the employee is wearing a mask or not. So just to make people to understand. So this is there in every shop floor. So any employee who is not going to wear a mask, the artificial intelligence says true, false, right? So with this context, I'd like to to start with once again with Hari to say on the various on the HR portions where AI is used, to start with on the recruitment and so on. Let us hear from Hari. Thank you. Over to Hari.
Thanks. It reminds me the latest Manad joke. Vanda, Sutta, Setta, repeat. Okay, let me repeat things now. I mean, I'll come back again one more round, just on a lighter note. See, artificial intelligence, of course, as we started with big data, we wanted to really mimic the human learning into the computation system so that they will do the things much faster and they'll really clear all the impurities from the big data available with us and clear and bring in only the extract like a juice to us. But specific to HR use cases, I'm seeing really a lot of use cases, which of course the other eminent speakers will be talking about. NLP, natural language processing, is really going to help HR space a lot, because if you take your recruitment system, most of those data are completely descriptive or non-structured. It may be images, it may be in a format which cannot be structured or which is not structured, number one. And if you really see the appraisal, feedback and other things of years together, they will all be in sub-files, right? So it is important to really extract those things from those files and then bring intelligence out of it so that you ensure the right resource within the organization is well recognized and taken to, whatever decisions you want to make, you'll be able to. So from the AI ML space, definitely NLP, natural language processing, is going to help us. And also the same NLP and the computer vision is going to help us to really minimize a lot of things, like your access controls need not really, the face recognition techniques have come so that you don't really have to go and punch your card or put your fingers. It'll kind of sense who's coming and who's going, and it'll do a kind of a sentimental analysis. So many frontiers are opened because of the AI, ML, and allied technologies. Let me probably pass here and hand it over to Satish.
Okay, thank you, Hari. Now, since Hari has explained on our AI, now I just want Agi to add more on the tools and the applications which is very relevant and which our HR fraternity can use in the HR space.
Yeah, thank you, Shiva. Just wanted to make a little clarification. I did see IBM, I moved away from IBM. IBM spun off its IT business, and I went away with a spin-off with about 80,000 people and a $19 billion business. So I'm a small cog in the wheel of 80,000 employees, and happy to be here. I wanted to get that housekeeping out of the way. Now, you were talking to me about what are those IT applications that can be enabled by AI and ML. Okay, now let's look firstly at our talent acquisition processes, all right? Are we getting the right talent? And there are a lot of failures also in terms of the wrong hire as we go up the stream, all right? And AI ML plays a very important role here, okay? One is, once you understand the candidate, using an effective candidate management system, and that candidate management system is integrated with social media in the sense that I know what are the trends that this person is looking at. Is he looking and reading more about my company? Because in social media, whatever you read, it will show up there, right? Am I reading more about AI, ML, or am I using something else and reading about Bollywood, right? It will tell me the trend. So first of all, you will be able to identify what type of employee and what is the kind of persona that you are looking for, all right? Now be very, very careful about this because there can be a lot of bias also that can come in this persona building. So you have to have a system that is trained to be unbiased, okay? And once you have that, you will have a very seamless candidate management system. Now, for example, the culture of your company, if apart from selling cars, you also have an interest to reduce your carbon footprint, that becomes the purpose of your company. And therefore, you can go and look at people who are thinking and acting with a greater purpose-driven culture. Now, what happens then is that the value system that they personally believe in meets your company's strategy, and therefore there's a fit. So this is a very clear example of how you can use AI and ML. Now that is recruitment, and then you make the offer, and then they come on board and things like that. Can we use predictive analytics, and can we look at how this person is doing now versus 6 months from now? Possible, okay? And how are we doing that is because we have certain markers, all right? We have certain markers in terms of whatever this person is, whether he is full tech HR stack or half stack or quarter stack, and how are you going to build it. You can also look at people's learnability and their ability to learn. How quickly are they able to learn, assimilate, apply? Okay, now these are all markers that you can use across the HR function. Now I'm kind of wanting to tell you what are these applications, but given the large number of people, I'm not going to endorse any one product. But I will tell you, right from the time we have candidate management system to onboarding digitally, to managing performance, to compensation and your salary program, as well as your offboarding, I think this whole cycle is chained together by what I call AI, ML, deep learning, and things like that. Lastly, I want to tell you, within all this is people, all right? So if you don't have that people interaction, if you don't have that high touch, high tech always should go together with high touch. If the high employee touch is not there, what are these IT systems actually trying to do? They are trying to release you from the mundane mayhem of everyday life so that you can repurpose yourself and drive a workforce which is purpose-driven. Thank you.
Very, very nicely said, Aki. From here, I just want to also, since already Satish was touching on chatbots, right, during the big data discussions, right, and to the people sitting here, what is all about chatbot? It's nothing but if you open in any web browser today, there is always a pop-up coming and saying that, hi, how can I help you? Please get connected, right? So this is predominantly seen in a banking industry to the knowledge whatever I have, but whereas in a manufacturing on the HR space, this is not really. I still agree to Agi's, the touch is more required, but at the same time, these kinds of technologies is going to reduce the routine work of an HR fraternities. So how this is going to rule in the next 5 years or probably in a couple of years from now, this chatbot in a manufacturing industry?
Actually, no, I'm going to pick from where Hari and Augie left, right? But I'm going to hop onto what Augie just said. It's not just high tech or high touch. One of our EVPs, apart from high tech and high touch, is also high trust. So these are 3 pillars of our company's EVP as well. But the reason why I brought this up is high touch could happen in omni-channel, right? When we say omni-channel, how many of us have iPhones? Okay, and I'm sure you guys know about your Siri, right? You could just say, hey Siri, get me the weather today. You will get that information in no time. Okay Google, right, the Androids. You're going to say, look, evening 5:30, I'm out of this place, right? How is the traffic going to be at 5:30 today? Okay Google will tell you approximately, right? See, this is how long it will take for you to reach your place as well, right? Those are what we, in true sense, called conversational AI. I'm leading from where Augie and Hari left, right? So conversational AI is plugged into what we call as chatbot, right? Or in other words, cobot, right? I'm being very watchful of the words that we use. Cobot will aid professionals like us in the HR fraternity to help drive certain processes, functionalities, decisions, and data, all that we spoke in the past 15, 20 minutes or so, right? So what does chatbot does? What's in it for us in the next, forget about 5 years, the next 1 year, right? Things have changed drastically. Today, if I were to reply to an email from my mailbox, right, with Microsoft Outlook that I have, I don't need to type anymore. You have conversational AI that's picked up. I would just say reply to Shiva stating I'm on leave tomorrow. My mail is sent already. Yeah? We have apps where we don't need an HR, so-called HR partner to sit and say, this is your leave policy, this is your paid leave, medical leave, all of those stuff anymore at all. You go to the bot, you use your Siri or Alexa and say, hey, Alexa, can you find out how many paid vacation that I have, right? And it is integrated to your VPN, and it will say, hey, Satish, you have 21 days left. And I'm going to say, Alexa, can you apply 2 days leave starting Monday to Wednesday next week? It's going to say, yes, applied. And once that is done, it's going to go to Shiva, who is my manager, and saying, hey, Shiva, you have a pending approval from Satish on leave, right? Whether you want to approve 1, 2, 3 days, it's up to the manager. He can use Siri or Alexa or OK Google and say, look, go ahead and approve it. So that is the depth of changes that we are already seeing. How many of us have smart homes applied? That's been my goal as well in the next 1, 2 years. Look, you can control your AC, you can control your fan, you can control anything sitting here using conversational AI. And that's predominantly on the bot mechanism that we've been talking about. Sitting here, you can say, get my living room AC to 24 degrees. You're all connected. In the next 5 minutes, it's all done. Your AC is started, your compressor will kick off, and by the time you reach home, it's kept cool, right? So that is the technology that's already there right now. Now, how do we imbibe that into HR, into the people function? Let me put it that way. HR is just siloed word that we keep using, right? Today, line managers have started doing all of these process, policy, functions, and HR-related questions and engagement and so on and so forth, right? And that is where chatbots, the cobots, AI, ML is going to be playing a very, very critical role on what we quote-unquote the next jargon that we call as hyper-personalization. How do you use such technologies to hyper-personalize employee experience, right? Take, for example, you said manufacturing function, right? How many of us go through, let's say, a line function supervisor or an employee, say, going for a break quite often than not, and see that trend saying, why is he going on break between 11 to 11:05 always, or let's say 2 to 3:30 always? Is that a pattern that you derive out of? As a line manager, if I can go to my bot and say, can you analyze the timesheet timestamp, like you said, right, your biometric, can you find out, hey, chatbot, can you find out any anomalies in the biometric of Satish? Those are conversational AI that we've already built in. And it's going to come back and say, any given day, he's taking a break between 11 to 11:07 or 2 to 2:30. How do you use that data? Getting back to the big data analytics. And how do you use this chatbot information? How do you get back to data to take decision? That's a high trust that we're even building about. So it is about how do you put best use your cobot or a chatbot to drive decisions. That is very, very critical, because quite often bots are used as a process simplifier. Like I said, you want to go check on your employee handbook saying, what is my PF, for example, right? Or when is going to be my variable pay paid out this month? Bots can throw that colors out, but you can do much more than what it is, right? Which is one example I will park it. Today we have bots that would help people, come over dementia or insomnia. Say, for example, Casper is a fantastic bot that which will help resolve your insomnia, for example. Just do some Google around it or Siri around it. You will get to know about it, right? It will help people, kind of keep the conversation going on with them, either through Alexa or any other medium that you have, and keep them, going on saying, look, hey, I'm sure you would have had your pizza. I'm sure you would have had your dosa. Now it's time to go hit the bed. Why don't you close your eyes? Why don't you meditate? That's the conversational AI that's picked up. And all of these are done through bot. Medical assistance, right? It will prop up, the bot will prop up and say, look, this is the time for you to take your sugar pill right now. This is the time for you to take your BP pill right now. You have information coming in. So bot is not restrictive only to the HR fraternity, but now it's now become part and parcel of a day-to-day activity that you're doing to make our life much, much simpler, right? With that, thank you so much.
Very nicely covered on the topic on bot. To be honest, when I heard this technology, I did a lot of Google to understand. And to be honest, as I said, the manufacturing setup, it's not to that. So my request is, this is something and a takeaway. Please start looking, understand, and even if you implement certain kind of bots which makes, that people experience end of the day, which helps the whole HR world, right? Next topic I would like to touch upon is on the augmented reality and the virtual reality. To set a context, what's an augmented reality? I think everyone has a phone, right? And sometimes we used to get, funny photos, right? With the horns at the head and a mustache and different kinds of animations next to you. This works on the a platform called augmented reality. Right? Sometimes we don't know in which platform it works. To be honest, this is augmented reality. And the other one is on the virtual reality. Virtual reality becomes more real than the real reality. That's how it is now. For example, people would have known about the gamification, right? And in the recruitment process, it helps to understand the behavioral pattern, right? Now it has gone one step further, right? And the people, the employer started understanding an employee, putting into the live virtual reality so that they understand not only on the behavioral pattern, they also understand the competency of a candidate in a concrete situation. To be honest, the army and an Indian army started using this. They just put soldiers in a very complex situations and try to understand how best they act in a given situation. So that's an thought on augmented reality and virtual reality. Now with this context, I move to Satish once again to speak, to give more explanations on the HR world about augmented reality and the virtual reality. Over to Satish, please.
Look, it's AR, VR has now become a cliche, right? Everybody talks about, like what we talk about, bots and AI, ML, all this will now become cliche, but factually, these are realities right now. AR is now a reality. It's no more AR, it's a reality, to be put it that way, right? Now, how can you use such technologies in the HR fraternity? Right? I'm going to take a step back. Now, like I said, AR and VR is now utilized much more in non-HR fraternity in the sense you go to medical devices, for example. Doctors sitting in one geography, operating a patient or consulting to a patient sitting on the other side, virtually as well, right? Now they go through all the medical reports, your scanners, all the tests that have been happened virtually as well. So that's now become a possibility. You take manufacturing, for example. Now mining is done sitting remotely, sitting in a location which is in an urban corporate office and saying, look, I want to go this deep, this wide, and then using AR, VR principles in terms of the depth and the breadth, you kind of keep downsizing and upsizing your images. Based on that, your miners or the mining equipments does the cutting for you, right? So, like I said, those are reality already. The technology is already coming, right? So no more saying AR and VR is a myth or may not come in and so on and so forth. It's already inside. But how do you use them appropriately? Like I said, I'm going to link back like what the previous 2 points are. Whether it's data, whether it's bot, whether it's AI, ML, all of these should be linked back into or help us aiding decisions, help us towards a purpose, help us towards getting the next-gen life up and running, right, from what Hari said. So AR, VR is also on the similar line. Yeah? How do you use this as an avenue, right? Say, for example, I've just read a recent topic in Japan. One of the parents, they've lost a kid, right? But using AR, VR, they brought that kid back into reality, and they wore the you know, the glass, I don't want to name the company, Google Glass and other stuff, right? So when they start doing it, virtually they were able to feel or sense their kid out there. So it connects back to emotion. So it is about where do you use and how do you use, whether you want to bring in the emotional touch and feel context of AR, VR, yes, possible. Or you want to use that for any of your mechanical engineering, depth and breadth of it. For example, mining, you can save a lot of lives without sending miners inside and doing all the stuff. You can have a machine do that using AR, VR as well, right? So it is about how do you put these technologies, all that we spoke about, to the best use. Again, being very cautious of the fact that what is the purpose of using any of these technologies? Unless that is there, all of these will only be fancy stuff. True, right? Yeah.
Okay, with this context, I just want Agi also to throw a little more on the augmented reality. Sure.
I think Satish covered it pretty well in terms of the application. But I'll ask you a question, and the question that comes to my mind is affordability and adoption, okay? Affordability of AR, VR is still fairly high, okay? So therefore, can our businesses afford it? Are we ready for it? The other one, of course, is technology adoption. Where in your system is this going to be sitting, all right? And that brings me to a question of today's hybrid workforce, right? The pandemic kept us all indoors. Now suddenly we have thrown away our masks and coming back to office. And AR, VR can play a huge role as you go into adopting this technology. In the future, it's called Meta, all right? Now, in terms of Meta, let's take retail, or let's take healthcare you spoke about. Retail is, I could have that shopping experience of even having a feel of that particular fabric that I'm going to be buying, all right? Now, how it's going to come to you is through your phone, all right? And therefore, affordability is one, technology adoption is the other, and above all those things is sector. Does your sector actually require something like this, all right? Manufacturing or mining or IT and ITES. And in a very recent survey, I found that 50% of people believe that they don't need to come to office at all right? And why don't they want to come to office, all right? Just because in the last 2 years, they have been productive at home, I mean, at work also. Their learning has gone up. Their quality feedback is high. And every parameter that you want to measure them on has been high. Now, give me a good, compelling reason for me to come back to work, right? So just going and saying, look, come here doesn't work. I think AR, VR is a great enabler in terms of facilitating that return back to office, and in terms of what kind of workplace do you want? Hybrid, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, which part of the office? How can I create that live environment where I'm working alongside my colleagues? Because unless you're in a garage and you're working together right across the table, you don't innovate. So AR, VR also needs to drive collaboration that I told earlier, because collaboration fosters innovation, and that in turn is driven by team spirit. Thanks.
Thank you, Agi. Given on the context of the time, I just don't want to move further. So before opening up for the Q&A, I just want to also touch on a technology space, which is blockchain. Now people hear a lot on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, right? So Bitcoin is something which is started more in the banking world. So I just request Hari to just touch in 1 minute, or though it is very difficult to communicate a blockchain in 2 minutes. It's a whole day topic, to be honest. So I request Hari to just give a glimpse of blockchain.
Thank you, Shiva. Before I touch upon blockchain, 2 things I want to really put forth in front of this audience. One is, have you ever thought, I mean, it may not be connected with blockchain, but still I wanted to kindle this thought. Have you ever thought that how a bird from somewhere in Antarctica is traveling to Vedantangal without any GPS system and is able to achieve and get back. Any thoughts?
Any thoughts?
Where they are stored? It's a beautiful answer, no doubt, genetically passed. You know, there is a natural GPS system existing. Please explore this. A lot of material available in Google. For any point in the universe, to say the point is here or the position is here, we need 3 parameters. Where you are with respect to the earth, with respect to the space and all. Birds have got special qualities in their beak. Go and research, it's not my words. A lot of research is happening in Ireland and various other countries. It's got a magnetite which deals with the earth magnetic field, and during night time it actually takes one of the points as pole star. I mean, very interesting things are happening. Actually, most of the things that we are trying to do today, we are trying to mimic what already nature has achieved in the past many millions years back. Just wanted to highlight that. So we are just probably experiencing the journey again. That's what, I mean, I don't know. Second thing is, how many of you have heard of digital twins? You can raise your hand. Heard of the term, please? Okay. So, I mean, in the context of AR and VR only I'm talking. I'll touch upon blockchain quickly. I won't be taking much of your time. The best digital twin, after studying that, I would call my family doctor, who has treated my grandfather, who has treated my father, who's treating me, because he has got all the mind mapping data, everything about our health for generations. In his brain, you go there, in his brain, yeah, cholesterol for you. It didn't do anything for your grandfather. Nothing will happen. Don't take this medicine or take this medicine. So, what I'm trying to say, especially in the manufacturing side, digital twins is going to really play a very big role, I can tell you. Because you cannot afford to get a machine repaired in the real scenario. If you've got a digital twin which is live in tandem with the real machineries and other things, and if there is a failure going to happen, the digital twin is going to indicate in advance, hey, this is what is going to happen, so that you can do a precautions. So, I mean, I really forgot to touch upon this during my AML use cases. Since predominantly manufacturing sector, I thought I must highlight it here. So that is also a very important area in the technology advancements. Coming back to the actual topic that you asked about the blockchain. Blockchain is not crypto coins, fundamentally. Okay, crypto coins somehow has hijacked the blockchain, and we are all dealing with crypto coins and other things. But definitely, blockchain is a super wonderful technology. In the history, if you really see, in 2008 financial crisis, economical crisis, really paved way to think a process how to really decentralize financial management from all those core banking sectors which really miserably failed. And like we all know God exists, but we don't know really, we have not seen, but we are only experiencing. Similar to that, blockchain inventor Satoshi Nakamoto, forgot his name. Nobody on earth knows who is this person or group yet. But he is inventor, she or group is the inventor of the blockchain. And first ever coin was Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going, very high. That's a trade side. I'm not going to touch upon the trade side. But what is really takeaway for us in the blockchain? Blockchain is completely a foolproof technology in terms of decentralized fashion. If you see, there's a lot of technology jargons involved in it, but I don't want to be really touching upon that. Something called hashing algorithm. Hash is there, like You give 1 million terabyte of data, it can be converted into a signature of just 256 characters. This is the practical, you go and see practically. And in that 1 million trillion data, if you make one small dot, the hash signature will drastically change. So, the hash signature, private key, public key, all these put together, they developed a technology where the authenticity of your data about you, for example, let me not go into the lot of hypothetical things. LinkedIn. When you go to LinkedIn, supposing tomorrow Shiva wants to recruit somebody, first he will go and see LinkedIn profile, because to a very great extent, it is reliable, like whatever they have done, because at least a few people would have endorsed, yes, so-and-so has done that work, and this work, etc., etc. So in a blockchain, this endorsement has to happen, whether it is a financial transaction, it is any other transaction, by a community, not by any individual. It is a consensus mechanism. You may ask how the consensus mechanism is achieved. That's a big, in fact, when this discussion was being planned, Agi well said one sentence, hey, this is a one-day session, not 1 hour session. I just want to repeat that. So, blockchain, let me put it very simple way. Blockchain technology originally started by Bitcoin, and that technology only helped to create coins, and of course, many people miserably sold the coins for pizzas and all, though they regret now with the money that it is having here. How the consensus is achieved of anything which is revolving around in the distributed computing is voted by majority of the people who are in the system. Like supposing I say here, I sit and say that is red color, and I say that I am the bank, this is red color. All of you believe this is red color. Nobody is going to believe. All of you will say, no, this is blue color. So blue color is truth, right? And if it is blindfolded, and I say there is red color, you all will believe, yes, there is red color. So in a blockchain, everything is exposed as per the individual's discretion with the due confidentiality. But first blockchain, Bitcoin blockchain, did not help to create applications. It only helped to create the coins. Then Ethereum came up. Ethereum said we can create distributed applications which will help the industry to accomplish many tasks. And still it is in the primitive stage, because for the blockchain to be successful, it is important to obtain the consensus from the majority of the community people or the systems in the world. And that you do a transaction, supposing I want to transfer, say 1,000 rupees to Satish, in a fraction of a second, I'll just open it and put a Google Pay, and Satish will get it, because it is centrally managed and there is a speed at which only one authority approves, right? Am I correct or not? The bank authority, right? But in the blockchain, all the stakeholders, all the nodes, we call them miners. They have to approve, and once a particular thing is approved, a particular miner gets his own reward, our own reward. So by and large, putting together, a lot of distributed applications are emanating in the market. A lot of hype is there. It is coming out of the hype cycle now. Please don't get entangled into the coin side, but definitely if you go to the distributed application side, many things are happening. Only thing is, at some point in time, we all have to agree for a global, blockchain reward. We call it currency or a coin or whatever it may be, as rightly pointed by Swamiji. Unless we do that, we are not going to really accomplish much on it from the coin or crypto side. But from the application side, a lot of challenges are there. If you want to really integrate supply chain management between the vendors and intermediate parties and the manufacturing unit, you can always do it in a very seamless way, because in the blockchain, when the information is really exchanged, it is vouched by a consensus mechanism which is foolproof, totally foolproof, which is really going to take away a lot of your redundant verification timings. But this technology is maturing. Solana and other things they are trying to achieve. If million people have to really vouch a transaction in a fraction of a second, how that would be. That is what exactly is happening now. So let me pause or stop here because that is a very hyper topic, honestly speaking. I try to really give as much as possible here.
Thank
Here,
you. Thank
and
you,
pass it.
Hari. To just put it in a very layman's way, this blockchain is definitely going to help HR probably, on the background verification phase or onto the authenticity of the previous employer. It is the data which is fit. You cannot delete it. It keeps adding. In a simple term, I'm saying. So definitely, please start understanding this blockchain. And as on my opening talk, I said, 18 years before, none of the technologies we were using. And definitely, in a couple of years, all these technologies people are going to use, no other choice. With this, I conclude our session. Now, open to Q&A. Thank you.
Do we have any questions, please?
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you. So thoughtful. One thing which I wanted to ask is that every time when we talk about the data science, when you talk about the artificial intelligence, more reference is given to the talent acquisition or the life cycle of an employee. When it goes to, when Hari sir mentioned, he was talking about the face recognition where it sends the emotions. When we talk about the CSK, we said that we use the data science, but still we fail sometime. What is the area in HR where it takes time? In terms of emotion, which I'm asking, where we cannot map in the data. Is there is anything which we cannot do it now, where it takes some more time, in the angle of employee relation, which I'm asking?
So please introduce yourself, tell us your name, and
Myself, Vel Pandian.
yes.
I'm talking about employee relation. Is there is anything which we cannot predict for say emotions? You don't have any data. That kind of things, how long it takes?
I'm not
We'll
sure
take
whether-
one question per person. Thank you.
Got it. I'll attempt answering your question, right? I mean, I think that's a dichotomy that all of us are here for. For what purpose that you're going to use technology and what not, right? Like Augie said in his conversation, two things that we can definitely do using the technologies, right? High tech and high touch. But the high trust is something that you're asking about. How do you build that? And that's where I think all of us are keeping our jobs till today. Let me put it on a lighter side. The reason why we have so many HRs are sitting here is to build that emotional connect, creating that trust factor, relationship. I guess that's why HR is going to be the key, right? AI, ML will operate out of what algorithms that we key in. And like I said, like all of us said, it would take care of the process and the functional aspect of it to help aid your job much better, right? But when it comes to real decisions, it has to be the human mind. I'm a strong believer in that, right? That could be other side of the story too. But truly looking at the data, the insights, the inferences, all those are there. But someone has to use that inferences to take a decision for the organization, for people, for technology, for anything that you may want to do. I guess that's where human resources comes into picture in my view, right? That cannot be replaced. That can never be replaced.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I wish to hear from you.
In lighter sense, whatever we do, technologies and other things, still we need the cup of coffee in the morning, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
It's only help us to make decisions. Definitely this cannot be, to my knowledge, it will never, Already Hari was touching on the nature. Certain things we cannot understand. We have to have a set pattern. And this emotions and humor, any technology cannot replace. This is my understanding. Any questions? Yeah, please.
I am Jauhar Michael. See, we are talking about AI, ML, all those things. But the real challenge is, I think, technology adoption in HR. See, I think we are not even scratched what is available currently with the technology. I think real issue is how do we make our people adopt the technology. I think that is the real challenge. So any suggestions, how do we do it?
Shall I? Thank you. Wonderful question. How do we make our people adapt to the technology? look at our workforce today. It's a multi-generational workforce. You have the centennials who came into the workforce last year, okay, and they are digital natives. Adoption is not required there. They have been born with the devices. Second is the millennials and my generation. Okay, and I suppose my generation gave you the smartphone and all that came with it, and the millennials came with the Facebook and all that. So adoption is really, I don't see that as a big challenge, but I see the challenge that is being an enabler or a facilitator to change. I think that is the greatest challenge today, because I will give you an example. Okay, big data we are talking about. Where is the biggest repository of big data? Okay, it is in the Arogya Setu app on your phone, right? Now, if I wanted to ensure, or I want to roster a set of people coming into the organization for a particular shift, I will connect the Arogya Setu pipe to my system and say, I will take only those people who are green, who are doubly vaccinated, and who are not in a containment zone. Okay? That is the enabler that we are talking about, sir. Adoption is already there. Okay? It's about enabling and facilitating what we need to do. And you were talking, Hari, about APIs. This is typically that. You need to have the right API to pull this data into your systems and use them more effectively. Thank you.
And added to that, it's more of a cultural aspect as well within the organization, how the culture is promoted. Especially the culture, what I have seen, a lot of aspects have to be really looked into, but allow people to fail fast. And if they fail, appreciate them. If they fail fast, appreciate them. And they'll be successful. That's very important, please.
With the time context, we would like to close because we have to move forward. We are here, all three are here. During the break or the lunch time, we are open to answer the questions if anyone has in this. So on behalf of CHROMA, on behalf of myself, I would like to thank Hari, Agi, and Satish for the wonderful thought process on the technologies, and moreover, thanks for the wonderful audience for the patience listening. Sometimes we were discussing the technology is something, how to correlate with the people and how far they're going to take away. That's the thought process we had. With the closing note, I would like to say a few words, which is very important for the life, where learning, we have to learn, relearn, unlearn, right? So in that context, there are so many technologies. I will say a few. Just go start Googling, understanding like the technology like unique user-centric design, personalization, and we have technologies like lifelong learning. These are the technologies with their voice recognitions. How far, it's a culture. As Hari said, it's a culture. We have to go and start venturing to it to learn how to adapt into our company. This is the thought process everyone have to have in this room. With that note, I would like to sum. In life, 3H is more important, which I believe very strongly, which I keep saying in every forum. One is, try to be humane. Try to be humble as much as possible, right? You have to be humble. Be humble. And finally, be happy. If you follow these 3H, definitely you will be happy in life. Learning continues until death. Thanks, CHROMA. With that, over to RMC. Thank you.
Exhilarating and enlightening indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, what a power-packed this discussion this has been. A huge thank you to our honorable speakers. Let's give them a huge round of applause.
And to the moderator as well.
Yes, and to our moderator as well for being a perfect moderator. I request our honorable speakers to please remain on stage. Please remain on stage. And I would like to invite on stage Ms. Rija to kindly present a memento to Mr. Augustus. We thank our honorable speakers for your time and for sharing your valuable thoughts with us.
Can we have a big round of applause for Augustus? Next, I would like to call upon Anuradha ma'am to come on stage. No? Okay, Shiva. Anuradha. No? Okay. Shiva, can you just come and facilitate Mr. Satish Rajaratnam? And I'll call upon Bharati, ma'am, to come on stage to honor Mr. Hariharan.
Check. There is always a science behind clapping. You know, if you move the clap, it triggers. So to encourage, I just want everyone to clap. No, that triggers the mind, right? Thank you, thank you.
Okay, Shankar to facilitate Shivarama.
Thank you.
Anuradha is here. Yeah, oh, Shiva. Wonderful job, Shiva. Thank you. Okay. No, you can ask.
Once again, a big thank you to our honorable speakers.
Okay, it's again time to honor our sponsors. I would like to call upon Zoho delegates to be on stage, please. And I would call upon Bharati, our CHROMA executive committee member, to honor